Okay. In the last class, if you remember, we had discussed the development of the genital system, where we had discussed the development of the testis and the ovaries. Then we had discussed how the cells will migrate. The primordial germ cells will migrate and they will go to the gonads. And if they don't migrate, then there will be no development of gonads. Okay, and initially the gonads will be in the form of a ridge. Later they become the small structures. Okay, and then we had discussed how the primitive sex cords will be formed, and later they divide and they form the primordial cells, which will later form the primary oocyte and secondary oocyte in the formation of ovary. Or in case of the testes, they will modify themselves into tubules, which will form the seminiferous tubules. Okay, then we had discussed how the descent of ovaries will be taking place, just like that of the descent of the testes. Similarly, there will be descent of ovary, but in case of ovaries, they will descend up to the labia majora. But in case of the descent of testes, they will go all the way along up to the scrotum. And we had discussed how the gubernaculum, one of the important structure, will be helping in the directing it into its proper position. And we had discussed this gubernaculum as well as other factors which will be helping in the descent of the testes, like the intra-abdominal pressure, temperature, and other things. Okay. Then we had discussed the anomalies. If what happens if it doesn't descend into its proper position, then there are different conditions like cryptorchism, monarchism, partial descent testis, and other things. Okay, then we had discussed the development of the genital ducts. So I will briefly, once again, I will repeat from here so that you can understand the whole process once again. So as we know, the genital ducts will be two. One is called as the mesonephric duct, which is also called as the Wolffian duct, and then we have the paramesonephric duct, which is also called as Mullerian duct. Okay, so the mesonephric duct, or the Wolffian duct, will be developing into the most of the, which will develop into the ducts of the male reproductive system. Okay, but in case of the female, this is the paramesonephric duct, which will actually form the uterus, fallopian tubes, and everything. If you remember this picture, we had shown you the two stages. Initially, there will be both the ducts, the Mullerian duct as well as the Wolffian duct. Both will be present, mesonephric duct as well as the paramesonephric. In case of males, the mesonephric duct will develop into the vas deferens, then the seminal vesicles, epididymis, everything. But in case of female, it is the paramesonephric duct, which is also called as the Mullerian duct, which will form the fallopian tubes, and the two parts will join together to form the main uterus, the body of the uterus, as well as the body and even a part of the vagina, upper part of the vagina. Then we had discussed the anomalies. If these two ducts don't fuse properly, if these two paramesonephric ducts don't fuse properly, then instead of a single body of the uterus, there can be two uteruses. Okay, even though still they are not completely separate, neither they are completely fused together, then it is called as the double uterus and double vagina. Sometimes there can be just an indentation. Okay, these are two extremes. Okay, sometimes there can be a partition, septum, between the two ducts which have not completely fused. Okay. Okay, sometimes one of the duct will develop and the other duct has not fused. Okay, so this is called as the bicarbonate uterus. Okay, then sometimes the cervical part, the lower part of the cervix, it doesn't form the cannula. Then it leads to the cervical atresia. Sometimes there will be canalization of this part, but the vagina will be atresia. So that is called as the vaginal atresia. Okay, so all these we had discussed. Then we had seen the development of the vagina itself. Okay, so the vagina will develop from two structures. the lower part will be developing from the sinovaginal bulb, and the upper part develops from the mesonephric ducts themselves. Okay, so initially the sinovaginal duct bulb will be in the form of a what you can call it as a plate, which is also called as the vaginal plate. Okay, later there will be slowly there is formation of the canal, or a what you can say as the cavity is formed within that. Initially it will be just a plate. Okay, later there will be canalization of this vagina, but the lower part will still remain as the hymen. Okay, so this will all develop at the 5th month, and then there is a part of the vagina around the cervix that will be called as the fornix, the space beside the cervix and the vagina. That space is called as the fornix will develop. Okay, so as we know, I had told you that the vagina will be developing from two parts. One is the paramesonephric duct, upper part, and lower part from the sinovaginal duct. This is important, as I said, because it is important in case of the cervical carcinoma, not cervical, the vaginal carcinoma. Okay, sometimes even the cervical carcinoma will spread to the vagina. Okay, then I had told you that the mesonephric duct, in case of female, it will totally disappear. This is the mesonephric duct, which will totally disappear in case of the female, because it is the paramesonephric duct which will develop into the fallopian tubes, the body of the uterus and vagina. Okay, this is the paramesonephric duct which is forming the fallopian tube, the uterus, as well as the upper part of vagina. But this part, this duct, that is the mesonephric duct, will totally disappear except few remnants called as the epiphoron and paraphoron. If you see here, this is the epiphoron and the paraphoron. And also a part will develop in near the vagina that is called as the Gardner's duct. So this disappearance, mesonephric duct, is called as the Gardner's duct. This whole thing is the Gardner ducts, and here there is formation of the even a small cyst called as the Gardner cyst. So all these are the remnants of the mesonephric duct, which disappears in case of the females. Okay. Then I had discussed the mesonephric duct and paramesonephric duct and how they will differentiate. What are the derivatives of each? The main duct in case of male will be the mesonephric duct. So the male derivatives from mesonephric duct will be the appendix of the epididymis, the epididymis itself, the ductus deferens or the vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, seminal vesicle. All important structures of the male are developed from the mesonephric duct. Similarly, in case of female, it is the female duct, that is the paramesonephric duct, which will form the uterine tubes or the fallopian tubes, the uterus, as well as the upper vagina. So in case of female, it is the paramesonephric duct, and in case of male, it is the mesonephric duct. But both ducts are present in both male and female. So what happens to the paramesonephric duct in case of male? It will totally disappear in case of male paramesonephric duct, except a few remnants called as the appendix of the testis, as well as the utricle of the prostate will develop in case of the paramesonephric duct in case of male. If not, it will totally disappear. Similarly, in case of female, this is the paramesonephric duct is the main duct, and the mesonephric duct will disappear in case of female. But there are some remnants which will remain, as we saw, that is the appendix of the ovary, as well as the Gardner's duct, epiphoron, paraphoron, all will be present in case of the females. So mesonephric duct will totally disappear except these remnants. So you should remember which is the main duct in case of male and which is the main duct in case of female, and what are the structures derived from them. Then what happens to the other duct which disappears? Okay, so whole of the ducts, these two ducts in case of male and female will disappear, but they give some remnants. Okay, so that you should remember. Now coming to the development of the external genitalia. The development of the external genitalia. Okay, so the external genitalia in females is under the influence of the estrogen. So estrogen will help in the development of the external female genitalia. Okay. At the 3rd week, the mesenchymal cells originate in the primitive streak and migrate around the cloacal membrane to form a pair of elevated folds called as the cloacal folds. If you see here, so here if you see here, there are small folds which are formed. Okay, so here at the lower part, okay, so the formation of this is the urogenital region where there will be formation of small structures here called as the cloacal folds. Okay, and the cloacal membrane in between. Okay, so cranially, cloacal folds unite to form the genital tubercles. In case of the, so in the cranially, so it will form the genital tubercle. This cloacal membrane near the cranial end means upper end will form the genital tubercle. Okay. Genital tubercle slightly elongate to form the clitoris and penis. In case so now this will differentiate. Still, it is not differentiated into male and female. It is common. Okay. Now this genital tubercle in case of male will develop into the penis, and in case of female it will form the clitoris. It will degenerate and form the clitoris. So the female counterpart of the penis in case of female will be the clitoris. Okay, so the genital tubercles will elongate to form clitoris and penis. Penis is actually, it elongates to form the penis in case of male, and in case of female it degenerates to form the clitoris. Caudally, the cloacal folds are subdivided into anterior urethral folds and posterior anal folds. If you see caudally means towards the lower end, so there will be two folds which are formed below. Okay, one are called as the anal folds, so near the anus, and then here are the urethral folds. Urethral folds on either side, and behind below will be the anal folds. Okay, so caudally, the cloacal folds are subdivided into anterior urethral folds and posterior anal folds. Urethral folds do not fuse as in males, develop into the labia minora. If you see here, in case of males, this urethral folds will fuse together. If you see here, they're fusing and they totally fuse in case of male. But in case of female, they don't fuse, and then they form the labia minora. Labia minora. Okay. So in case of male, it will fuse together, but in case of female, they remain separate and form the labia minora. Okay. So these are the urethral folds. The genital swellings of folds of connective tissue develop around the urethral folds. If you now see here, around that there are something called as the labioscrotal swellings. Labioscrotal swellings. So in case of female, it will form the labia majora. Labia majora. So urethral folds will form the labia minora. These are the urethral folds which form the labia minora, and the labioscrotal swellings form the labia majora in case of female, and in case of male it will form the scrotal swellings. Scrotum. It will form the scrotum. So that's why it is called as labioscrotal. It can form the labia majora or the scrotum. Okay, so these are nothing but the genital swellings or the labioscrotal swellings. Okay, these will form scrotal swellings as I showed in case of male, or the labia majora in case of the female. So the urogenital groove is open in females and form the vestibule. So as we saw, so these urethral folds will not fuse together and they remain separate, and it gives rise to a small opening. Okay, this will be called as the vestibule. This is called as the vestibule. This opening, it will be called as the vestibule. Now coming to this is all about the urogenital development. Okay, so this will be the extragenital, how they will differentiate into the penis as well as the scrotum, and the labia majora and minora and clitoris in case of the female. Okay, initially they will be same, but they differentiate into male or female depending on the genetic constitution, whether it is male or female. Okay. Now going to the development of the kidney. Okay, so the kidney is developed from the intermediate mesoderm in the craniocaudal direction from three selective kidneys. Initially, there will be three kidneys. First, there will be formation of a very primitive kidney called as pronephros. If you see here, so this is the, before this, there will be something called as the pronephros. A big kidney is formed on either side. Then it changes into mesonephros. What you are seeing here, it has changed from the pronephros to the mesonephros. So it becomes smaller and it changes into something called as mesonephros. Then it changes finally into the metanephros. So this is the three successive kidney formation. So initially the most primitive form of kidney will be the pronephros, which will be long structure. Just like we saw the ovaries will be the genital ridges, long ridges. Similarly, the kidneys will be also long, very long structures. These are called as the pronephros. Then they change into the mesonephros. So this is the pronephros long structures. Then they change into the mesonephros. Finally, they change themselves into the metanephros. Okay, so the pronephros and mesonephros are temporary kidneys, and metanephros persists as the permanent kidney. So there are something called as the temporary kidneys, which are formed in very early stages of the development of the fetus. Then they finally develop changes and modify themselves into the final kidney, permanent kidney, which is nothing but the metanephros. Okay, so metanephros is the permanent kidney. The fetal kidney develops in pelvis, later ascend upwards into the abdomen till it reaches the diaphragm. Okay, as we saw, the ovaries and testes are developed in the abdomen. They descend downwards into the pelvis in case of female and into the scrotum in case of the male. But the development of the kidney is reverse. It develops in the pelvis and then it ascend upwards. Ascend upwards. Okay. So if you see here, so this is the as I said, pronephros. Then it changes into the mesonephros. Then it modifies itself into the metanephros within the pelvis. Now it starts ascending upwards. If you see here, it is ascending upwards. Okay. During its ascent, it will also keep on changing its blood supply. Initially, so this stage, early stages, the renal artery will be from the internal iliac artery. Then it changes into the common iliac artery. Then, as it ascends upwards, it will start the artery changes into the renal artery directly comes from the abdominal aorta. So initially still it will be in the lower part of the abdominal. Then as the kidney ascend upwards, it changes even the blood supply. So it will be start receiving the blood supply from the upper part of the abdominal aorta. So so this is a unique stage where as the kidneys will ascend upwards, they change the blood supply. The renal artery will be supplied by different arteries. Initially, it will be as I said, it will be the internal iliac, then it will be the common iliac. Then, as it ascend upwards in the lower part of the abdomen, as you can see here, so it is from initially from this part. Then this renal artery disappears. Then it is formed. Then it as it ascend upwards, it will be the upper arteries which will be supplying the abdominal aorta. But this is not the case in case of the ovaries and the testes. Even though they descend from the abdomen into the pelvis and the scrotum, but still the blood supply will for those arteries will be from the abdominal aorta, upper part of the abdominal aorta. It doesn't changes, but the kidney changes its blood supply during its ascent. So this is a unique feature for the kidney. So the fetal kidney develops in the pelvis, later ascend upwards into the abdomen. As I said, it develops in the pelvis, then ascend upwards into the abdomen till it reaches the diaphragm. It goes so much high that it goes and reaches up to the diaphragm on the left side, and on the right side, because there is liver, so it will be slightly lower in case of the right kidney. Right kidney will be slightly lower, as we have already studied, because of the diaphragm. So this is because of the ascent of the kidney from the pelvis to the abdomen. Okay. Now its arteries, as I said, it arteries when the this kidney is ascending upwards, its arteries to change. Okay, so their arteries to change their origin during its ascent of kidney. Usually, they in other organs they don't change; they keep their blood supply. Okay, but in case of kidney, they change. Okay, the fetal kidney is lobulated. As you can see here, initially the kidney will be multilobulated. Okay, and is made up of 12 lobes, and almost 12 lobes will be there. But these will fuse after birth. They will fuse after birth. Okay, so they all fuse, and the differentiation between the lobes can be made only by the pyramidal shape structures. Okay, within them. Okay, as well as the cortical parts, the cortical arches. Okay, but these all fuse properly, and only histologically you can make out the lobes. Okay, now coming to the anomalies during this ascent as well as development of this kidney, what are the anomalies which are possible, which are called as the developmental anomalies? One is called as the first and the foremost and most commonest will be the horseshoe kidney. Horseshoe kidney. You see here, this is how it looks like. Looks like a horseshoe. I've seen the horseshoe, it looks like a horseshoe. Because when at the ascent of the kidney, initially during its ascent, it will be present in the pelvis as we saw. It develops in the pelvis. In the pelvis, they will be very close to each other. So sometimes what happens, the two ends, the lower ends of the kidney joins together. The lower ends of both the kidney join together and they become horseshoe shape. Okay, so the lower poles have been fused together. The upper poles are free, but the lower poles are fused together. This is called as the horseshoe kidney. Sometimes there can be pelvic kidney, that is incomplete ascent of the kidney. As we saw, it will ascend to the abdomen from the pelvis, but sometimes it doesn't ascend. As you can see here on the left side, the kidney has ascended upwards into the abdomen, but in case of the right side, it has not ascended. This is called as the pelvic kidney, incomplete ascent of the kidney or non-ascent of the kidney. Okay, sometimes there can be the third type of anomaly is the pancake kidney, where the both here we have seen that the horseshoe shaped kidney only the lower poles have been fused together, but in case of pancake kidney the upper pole also get fused, lower pole and upper pole will be behind this aorta, the lower poles will be the front and the upper poles will fuse behind, so they will totally cover the aorta, they will cover the whole of the aorta like a pancake, and they compress the aorta itself. So this is called as the pancake kidney. Sometimes I said the initially when developing the kidney will be lobulated. So sometimes it doesn't fuse together, incomplete fusion of the lobes. Sometimes there might be incomplete fusion. So you can see the lobes, lobulated, lobulations. Okay. So usually they will not be lobulated later. But so if it is not fused properly, all the lobes will be separate. That is called a lobulated kidney. Okay. So all these conditions, when you see, then you should be able to recognize what is the exact cause for this. So if it is lobulated, then you know that initially the kidney will be lobulated, later it fuses. If it is not fused, then it leads to the lobulated kidney. If it is pelvic, then you know that the kidney has not ascended like that. Okay. Then the absence of kidney on one side. Sometimes there can be possibly one side the kidney is totally absent. As you can see here, there is no kidney. But sometimes there can be both the kidneys on the same side. So instead of ascending one kidney on the right side and one on the left side, so both will be on the same side, and the other side there will be one side there will be total absence of the kidney. That is also possible because of the developmental anomaly. Then we have the double kidney or double ureterus on the same. As I said, so two kidneys can be ascend on the same side, and sometimes there can be double kidney, two kidneys or double ureters. Sometimes there can be two ureters. You can see here there are two ureters, two kidneys on the same side, and there are two ureters, double ureters. Okay, sometimes two kidneys, sometimes two ureters, sometimes both the kidneys and both the ureters can be present. Okay, on the same side. Then renal artery arising from iliac artery or the liver aorta. As I said, as the kidney will be ascending upwards, as you saw in the previous picture, these previous arteries will disappear and new arteries form. Then when it ascend upwards, this will disappear, new arteries form. Again, this will, if you can see here, that this the sites of formation of renal arteries, they have disappeared here and the new arteries formed here. Sometimes what happens, so this doesn't disappear and it will be continuously supplying. Okay, from the pelvis itself. Okay, So that is called as the renal artery arising from the iliac artery. So initially, as we saw, it will be developing from the iliac artery. Here, if you see here, so it is giving the blood supply of kidneys from the iliac artery. Sometimes it doesn't disappear. So as it ascends, it will be still present. Still, the blood supply will be from the iliac arteries. So these are the iliac arteries, okay, which will be supplying the kidney. So this is all possible. These are some of the anomalies which we can see in case of the kidneys. Now, finally, coming to the development of the bladder, how the bladder will develop. So bladder development is by a structure called as the cloaca. Okay, so if you see here, this is the cloaca here, which is shown in yellow color. So this is the cloaca, and here we have seen the mesonephric ducts which are developing. So sometimes what happens, so it can develop the trigonum vesicae, which is nothing but the posterior wall of the or the base of the bladder. That is called as the trigonum vesicae, because it will be the between the three openings, two ureters, and below will be the urethra. So this trigonum vesicae will be developing from the mesoderm, mesonephric duct. So mesonephric duct. So these are the ducts here. Same duct has been shown here. So these are the mesonephric ducts, which will join together slowly. Slowly they will come close and they form the trigonum. So here the trigonum is formed. So trigonum is developing from the mesonephric duct, from mesoderm. Okay. Then the endoderm of the cloaca rust of the mucous membrane. So the remaining part, except the trigonum, the remaining part is from the cloaca, which form the rest of the mucous membrane. So inner part, inside. Trigonum can be seen from inside, right? Not from the outside, only from the inside. So this, the posterior wall or the base of the bladder from inside, that is called as trigonum, is developing from the mesonephric ducts. Here are the mesonephric ducts, and the rest of the cloaca will be developing from the mucous membrane will be developing from the cloaca. So this is the cloaca, which form the rest of the mucous membrane. The apex will be absorption of the proximal part of the allantoic diverticulum. So the apex will be in the front, as you know, right? Because the base is behind, so the apex will be in the front. So this picture doesn't show exactly. So the apex will be formed by the absorption of the proximal part of the allantoic diverticulum, allantois, which will disappear. The musculature. This is about the mucous membrane. Trigonum from the mesonephric ducts, and the cloaca will form the remaining part of the mucous membrane. What about the musculature and other outer structures? Musculature and other structures will develop from the splanchnic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. Splanchnic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. So that will form the remaining part of the musculature, the whole muscle of the whole of the bladder, okay, which is called as the Dartos muscle, which is a special muscle which is present only in case of the kidney, the bladder, sorry, which is present only in case of the bladder. That is called as the Dartos muscle, which has special features. Okay. Then, as well as the outer covering, everything is developing from the splanchnic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. Lateral plate mesoderm. So this is all about the urogenital system, as well as the development of kidney, as well as the bladder. So if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me now. If you have any doubts? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.